Welcome back to PM Express. After talking economics, talking the IMF, we're still talking the economy, but the Black Stars came. And I know some will say you have about 30 million coaches out there. But again, what happened just a few minutes ago and how that could impact on the broader economy going forward? If you had won this game, what could have been the impact on marketing, branding going forward for even the national team? And also the larger economy paraphernalia and all those things. And also what it meant for businesses as well going forward. But we're joined on Zoom by Neil Armstrong Motogbe. He needs no introduction, but because of this discussion, I'll do that. When it comes to a guru in marketing, sports marketing, business, promotions, and all those things. And also Tony Obing, another strong finance and business person, but also had been on the Black Stars Management Committee and also the GFA Executive Council. Two distinguished gentlemen who appreciate football, who drink football, who eat football. Thank you so much for joining us on PM Express in our second part of the program as we discuss the program that is the Black Stars game. Neil Armstrong, Tony Obing. Let me start first with Neil, and thank you so much for your time. How would you describe this game? I mean, we played quite well in the first half, but it appears we lost it in the second half, Neil. If Neil Armstrong is on. So, Neil, my question was that it appears we played so well in the first half, but what happened? Being somebody who eats drinks and watch football. Uncle Neil.
Second half, if you can hear.
What happened, Uncle Neil?
Yeah, I think I'll just sum it up by saying that we snatched a draw from the jaws of victory, conceding two completely very, very poor goals for the way the stakes were high and for the endeavor that the generality of the team showed, especially Kudus Mohammed coming in, for how hard Semenyo, the likes of Semenyo, Jiku, and others were working. I usually don't single out players for blame, but we all watched the game. We saw the elementary errors that gifted 2 goals to Egypt. Kudus fought for those goals. The team fought for those goals. And then we just gave the goals to Egypt. It was quite shocking. But yeah, these things happen in football, you say, but for players who play at the level that Inaki Williams plays, the level at which Bukari plays, these 2 errors are completely unacceptable. And I'm not going to mince words about it. But that said, I think today was a day where the team showed a fair bit of endeavor. Like I said, this should have been a game that we won. I mean, we should have won this game. And those were my simple answers to your question.
Mr. Armstrong, would you put this draw squarely on the players? I mean, our first game, somewhere trying to put the challenge on the bench, but would you put that this challenge was basically the players that are supposed to be professionals?
So you take the blame, I mean, as a team, you take the credit as a team. I mean, have gone on record as being very critical of Chris Hughton. I have felt that given the credentials with which he came into the game, into the job, I personally haven't seen him apply himself the way I thought he could have applied himself. Substitution, for instance, of this evening of Bukari coming on for Inaki and come to commit the same error. I mean, one would wonder what informed some of these changes. The first match we played, he did 3 substitutions at one point, and you were wondering what book was he reading from. You know, so for me, that is why I would put a heavy bit of criticism on the coach. But today, I think the team stepped up much better than they've stepped up under him. First half, like you rightly said, was fairly good. Second half, we just seemed to come apart for some strange reason. But I would not want to go too much into the technical side of it. I think I've rendered my opinion on what I've thought about the work about the work of the coach, and I still think that he still has a lot of work to do to convince some of us that he's the coach to take us to the promised land. To be very honest. That's basically it. If you follow the trends on a lot of the football pages that follow the game, it's the same commentary that you see. Everybody wonders what goes on. Yes, it may be a technical team, but he's the coach. The buck stops with him. What actually goes on? What are the considerations that go into some of these changes? It beats my mind. So you bring in Bukari, and 15 minutes later you take him off in an Africa Cup match against Egypt. There's got to be questions asked. But I mean, a draw is better than a loss. Yeah. I don't think many Ghanaians gave too much of a chance to this team going into the game. And you need to credit those boys who really, really stepped up. I think some of them stepped up their game from the first match. There still is room for them to improve. And it's I'll say, I like to look at the cup being half full and half empty. And today, I think quite a number of the players stepped up better than they did in the first match. We'll commend them. Where we think there should be criticism, I've done my critique. There's still a lot of work to do. Mozambique are not an easy side. They showed it against Egypt. So it's not a foregone conclusion that we can beat them. And we need to beat them to stand any chance of qualifying for the second round. First round exit in a tournament for 2 consecutive times would not augur well for our team at all. I would describe it as being completely unacceptable for a team of Ghana's stature and for the quality of players that we have. When you see them playing in their home bases, I mean, as in the foreign leagues, they seem to be a completely different prospect than when they come down. That also has to be questioned. And I'm sure we'll have time to talk about that on some
I'll
other
do that. And I'll come back to you again for you to put on your other jacket when it comes to sports marketing and all the rest. But let me get to one gentleman, even though we know him as being in finance, he also loves football, and that is Mr. Tony Obeng. I mean, he's been close to the Black Stars before on the management team and also on the GFA Council as well. And for someone who's been close to football administration, very close to the Black Stars as well, watching this game, for you, what are the notes that you were taking, or what do you think was the problem, Mr. Tony Obeng?
All right, thank you very much, and good evening to you and my good friend Neil. Look, a big brother of mine, Professor Asante, who was the president of the Methodist Church Ghana, just sent me a message that what's wrong with our defense? Why do we play the way we play in our defense? And I totally agree with him. I've had the occasion of asking some of the coaches, why are we always playing from behind? Now, a player gets the ball close to the center circle, he takes the ball back. You know, discounting the risk that is involved in doing that. So all these goals that came, the 2 goals that came, were all efforts to bring the ball back before pushing the ball to the opponent's side. I mean, and you get punished for that. I concede, and I totally agree with Neil, that this time round, there was a huge commitment of the players. They did extremely well. You could see that they had a desire to win. But look, the desire doesn't count. And look at the effort put in by Kudus to get us the 2 goals. It's like somebody tries to do the work and then someone also tries to destroy it. It's unfortunate. It's very painful. Just before we started, I tweeted that somehow I have a feeling that we're going to win 2-1. You know, so, and some of my friends who are actually trying to save their hearts. I'm not saying they don't like the blood. They are trying to save their hearts. They say, no. Ghana is going to lose. The reverse will be the case. So when we got to 2-1, I thought I was going to win some, you know, I was going to win some lottery for protecting right, only to know that we just get the ball back again and lose it. So it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I don't know. I mean, it's quite unfortunate for us. I think this time, if you compare the effort of this set of players who played and that of the one that played, I mean, the same team though, that of our match with Cape Verde, I'm sure they did better than the one with Cape Verde.
Mr. Obeng, today I was talking to a friend who was telling me that, listen, if we should win this match, he was going out to get the get the jersey and then all those things. Do you think that we have missed out on an opportunity to stimulate again when you were there? I don't know whether that time you were there, and bring back the love for the Black Stars, and also what this would have meant for the paraphernalia, the sales, and all the rest, and even stimulate interest. I knew people who were saying that if we should have won this game, they are making preparations to go to Cote d'Ivoire, those travels and all the rest. Did we miss out on this opportunity to get that love back and the other sectors of this economy when it comes to sales, paraphernalia as well, picking up?
I'll be very blunt. Yes, we did miss. My interest in these high-level football goes back, and Neil knows. Neil and I, we have been in the trenches before when we did the first qualification for the World Cup, and we all saw what happened anytime the Black Stars won. And I tell you, if because of the anticipation of the country, if the Black Stars had won, it would have really had a major effect on these items that we spoke about, the paraphernalia. People would have just gone straight to the drinking bars. I'm not encouraging people to drink, but I'm sure the drinking bars would have been very, very full. And I think that we don't do the mathematics of all, we don't do the statistics. So we are unable to pinpoint figures to support this. But seriously, football has a major effect on the economy. Except that we have not, I don't think somebody regularly follows or pick data on the effect of our sporting activities on the economy. But I think that if you use proxies of other countries, other more organized countries, you would see that these activities have major effect on the economy. And so we somehow have missed out, unfortunately.
Is it all lost?
Now I'm one of the very optimistic supporters of the national team, and I'm gradually losing the optimism in this particular competition.
No, but it's interesting. Somebody who's been, and I know Neil Hassan, I'll come to him, very close in the management position on council. You should be a chief optimist.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said I'm one of I tweeted and told my friends that we're going to win. In fact, I was on one of your programs saying that I think it's likely we're going to win. And so now if you don't win, you've lost your first game, you've drawn, so you have 1 point. Egypt has now got 2 points. They're not too safe though. You have one team that has 3 points. Now, 1, 2, 3, and they are going to play tomorrow. So it is not completely gone. We are not completely out yet, but now the pressure is on us to win against Mozambique, or even win massively, not just winning, especially if it gets to goal counts and all that. So it makes our job too difficult. If we had nailed this game, which we were very close to doing, then the burden on our players and on us would have been much less than the situation we find ourselves now.
Let me bring in Uncle Neil. I'll call him Uncle Neil. Armstrong Motorway, and let me now let you put on your marketing guru and your finance and all the rest. Has it been that difficult now to market our national team, to sponsorship and all the rest, and all those things now? And a performance like this, does it aggravate our issue in getting sponsorship on? We're looking at getting a better coach going forward. There could be agreements. And I knew the role you played in the past as well, where if a sponsorship come on board, they could say we'll take even half of the coach's salary and all the rest. Does all these things makes it difficult going forward to get these corporate bodies on board and even for it to trickle down to our Premier League?
Well, I think it's a question of what are the objectives of the corporate sponsors that we try to engage. And Doc made reference to the fact that when he was head of corporate affairs at Bullfields, we had a model where you just rightly referred to. Part of the sponsorship was dedicated to taking care of the coaches' salaries. And Doc played a very sterling role in that particular endeavor, that enterprise. Back to your question about how difficult does it make this? I mean, this FA over the last 4 years, coming into Kurt's second term, was able to increase the sponsorships to various properties of the FA by something in the region of 900%. So it's about the story that we take to them. Obviously, better performances will definitely inspire more interest or greater interest. But even when it was that we didn't seem to be doing that well, we still got some sponsors to come on board. I think the World Cup was a major attraction. That's Qatar 2022, but it took us qualifying there to get those sponsorships. So I would say that it does make things a bit more difficult, but when there's that level of difficulty, you need to tap into what are the objectives of a prospective corporate partner or sponsor, and then feed them a message that gets them to come on board. Let me go back to what Dr. led us to do in 2005. The objective of the company was to get a certain distinct, and then there were objectives that were achieved or started achieving on those objectives. The sponsor was motivated to continue supporting. At that time, the Black Stars were really nothing to write home about. We had never qualified for a World Cup. So when you have a company that has this vision also clear, and you can see that it ties in with probably your situation or your life cycle as a product or a brand, you're able to sell them a story that gets them to even join you, even in your difficulty. One last example, working with FIFA, there was a team that was made up of we were able to get them sponsorship using the story that they were reintegrating kids who had been child soldiers into the community, and they got sponsorship. So it's about recognizing what your situation is, pinpointing or aligning your situation and position with a company that has certain objectives, and based upon that, you align your objectives with the company, and you should still be able to generate some sponsorships.
But again, let me move you aside as not a Ghanaian, or if I can make that expression. Do you think that really we can make it past the group stage?
We can make it group stage. Chase want me to grade the team on a scale of 1 to 10. I would say they're about 6.5 to 7 over 10, which is a marked improvement upon what we saw in the game against Cape Verde. If the team can step up the same way they did to do a little notch higher, as much as Mozambique also showed the stuff that they are made of playing against Egypt, I believe that we can account for Mozambique, get 4 points, and then obviously it becomes a question of who are the other best third place finishers. If it is that it comes to that, we cannot predict what the result, for example, of tomorrow's game between Cape Verde and Mozambique could be. Tomorrow Mozambique could beat Cape Verde and get 4 points. Cape Verde will be on 3 points, and Egypt will be on 2 points, and Ghana will still be on 1 point. We beat Mozambique in the last game, and then whatever happens between the other two, we should still be in the mix. So it's certainly, like Doc said, not a lost cause, but it certainly makes our work so much more difficult.
Let me bring in Dr. Tony Obin as well. Doc, I mean, I was able to watch the first half game, and it shows that the Black Stars can live up to the game. What did we get wrong in the second half? And from our performance in the second half, does it get you worried or think that, listen, George, maybe we have really come to the end of the road? Let's close the books here. Listen, Black Stars, we are coming home. Okay, so Dr. Niobin, what I was trying to say was that for you, that looking at the first half of this game, some have said that the Black Stars were able to live up to expectation. Now, looking into the second half, does it get you worried that, listen, George, maybe we cannot just progress? We've gotten to the end of the road. We're coming home.
Well, George.
Yes, you can go ahead, please.
Yes. Okay. I think that, when Mohamed Salah was taken off, I thought that was going to be some kind of a relief for us. I mean, psychological relief for us. And obviously, it was also going to ginger other players up to do his job. And when we got to 2-1, and I think it was around almost the 70th minute. So it was a good time for us to be able to manage and finish the game. So the lack of concentration that occurred in the last few minutes, very mind-boggling. But it happens in football. In football, it happens. And these players play in high-level clubs. They play in high-level leagues. And so you don't expect them to make these mistakes at this level. But of course, it happens in football. So I don't know. I mean, we were all disappointed when the second goal came. You could see me here, hoping that some magic would happen so that we will turn the tables around. But anyway, a draw is better than a draw of 2-2 is better than maybe a loss like we did to Cape Verde. So I think we should take it like that. Unfortunately, it's a pain, but we have no choice.
Doc, it might be an unintelligent question or a suggestion, but it appears when it comes to money and investment in the national team, it's not a problem. Does it now boils down to the technical challenge that some would say that let's go out there for the best of coach and expect that we deliver, or it's about commitment from these players?
Well, I think the FA, beginning from the last FA, I mean, I'm talking about the first 4 years of Mr. Kraku's administration, started something which I think needs to be continued. First, it established this it deepened the technical department where they brought in this coach, this very experienced coach as a technical director, supported by Professor Minta. And I think they should continue to do that and then try and build our own Ghanaian capacity, coaching capacity. And the practice where we take a coach for tournament, and after the tournament, we have to look for another coach. We need to look at that because some of the coaches that win trophies have been with the club for a very long time. I mean, with the team for a very long time. Look at Senegal. They had one coach for a very long time, and eventually he won them some trophies. So I think we need to look at that. And I mean, the changing over of coaches. We have a peculiar problem. Ghana has a peculiar problem, and the problem is that we have not been able to build the homegrown national team that will actually step out there to play. If you look at all the teams that are winning, the countries that are winning now, you have more than 40% of their players playing at home. El Hali is the bedrock of the Egyptian national team. If you look at the Mozambique team that did so well with Egypt, about 80% of their players are home-based. So our challenge is that we have very good players who are playing outside, but football is not tennis ball. It is not ping pong. It is not table tennis. It is a teamwork. So you need a situation where you have a teamwork. That's why I believe in the galaxies, which I chaired. We need to develop a strong galaxies who can step out when there is a challenge for Ghana.
Doc, in 30 seconds, Black Stars, AFCON going forward, your final thoughts? Do you think that there's hope? 30 seconds?
Well, the only thing left with us is hope. And so I still have hope. I mean, that is the only thing I have. It is hope. And I still have it.
Let me go to Uncle Armstrong. Motogbe, your final thoughts. Black Stars, AFCON going forward. In a minute, your thoughts.
Well, I've said that if we can, worst case, replicate what we did in the first half in this particular game, we should be able to account for Mozambique and put ourselves in a position to qualify to the second round. It's really about going back to that first half of this particular game against Egypt and replicating it almost dito. A little more focus, correct whatever little errors might have shown up in that particular first half. And I think that we can still go forward. It's definitely not go back to the button that we were pressing in the second half. That would not augur well for us at all.
Mr. Neil Armstrong Motobe is a finance person, marketing guru when it comes to football. Dr. Tony Obeng is also a finance person when it comes to football administration. He's a guru. I know that debates will go on in your homes and offices about what best can we do for the national team for them to progress to the second round of the African Cup of Nations. My name is George Wiafe. I say let's keep hope alive. This has been PM Express Business Edition.